No way this is gonna scare you. If you are already used to a 600cc, no way this is gonna scare you. What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video, and today we have the Daytona 660, the brand new Daytona from Triumph. So I've been riding this motorcycle for very long. I took it for a tour of around 700 kilometers and I came back to Bangalore again, and I was riding it inside the city. So it was my daily superbike, then touring superbike, and yeah, I'm just enjoying this motorcycle. To be honest, I have to say that I'm actually in love with this motorcycle. I'm not giving a verdict of this motorcycle, but the thing is, there are pros and cons for this motorcycle. So let's talk about this motorcycle first. First of all, I have to say that yes, many of the reviewers would have been so disappointed with the name Daytona. So I actually take away that name, the Daytona, because it was the 675R, which actually gives us goosebumps. Even just watching Sagar Sheltaker video and all gives us a lot of adrenaline. So this is not that thing. So let's take away that name and judge the motorcycle whether this is a good motorcycle or not. Undoubtedly, this is one of the beautiful motorcycles that I've seen in the recent past. I'm not kidding you. I mean, the plastics, the head section, the side, everything looks so nice actually. So Triumph has actually put a lot of thought and thinking while designing this motorcycle. You see all these cuts are actually, they are streamlined, but they are not too edgy, but not flowing designs. So nice, so well nice. And there is a fake, you know, this portion, this is a plastic piece. It's not a part of chassis, it's a fake chassis. To just give you a feel that it's a fully aluminum chassis or something, not like that. And a beautiful looking tank. The side fairings are looking very good. Ground clearance, it's a problem. Yeah, even though the spec sheet says it has good ground clearance, 135 mm. Actually 135 is good for a sports bike, but spec sheet itself don't go under that once you sit on this. And with pillion, forget about it. Yes, it has ground clearance problem. Very good tires, very good brakes, upside down forks, and you know, that kind of suspension, man, what is it made of? It can absorb anything. You throw a black hole, you don't really need to put a deep hole on the road. You put a black hole and this will absorb it. And a neatly looking swing arm, look at that. And how can I avoid that underbelly exhaust? Looks so nice, man, looks so nice. And the seat is also good, the comfort is good. Rider seat has a lot of space, but when it comes to pillion seat, it doesn't have a lot of space. So but Triumph has compensated with a bigger grab rail, so the pillion is actually comfortable in holding on to it. But the flip side is, whenever I get down off the motorcycle, I keep hitting my knees over here, so that's a trouble. And tail section, again, beautiful looking motorcycle. Some people will tell that yeah, it actually looks like the Trident from the back. It's the same family actually, the Trident, the Tiger 660. In fact, I would say that from the front it has a lot of resemblance with the Tiger 660. I know, like when I was looking through the mirror, like I was riding the CBR SPI yesterday and we were having a comparison video. So that time I was looking through the mirror and I found that this has a lot of resemblance with the Tiger 660 as well. But look wise, I'll say that brilliantly beautiful looking motorcycle. So let's just hop on and talk about the rest of the things. Before that, yeah, it's a not a tall motorcycle at all, but when we sit, the suspension actually sags a little more and gives a very nice, the same dial that we have seen with the Trident. And let me walk you through the switches, basic switches. There's a high beam switch here, but there is no pass switch, so you have to manually operate it. Like, what was it? I missed. Yeah, sorry. There is a high beam, low beam switch here, but there is no pass switch. These are the navigation switches for this one. And there is an OK button, indicator, horn, a mode selector switch. So there are 3 riding modes on this motorcycle: rain, road and sport. And on this side we have the typical Triumph switches, the engine kill switch, ignition and the caution lamp. So when we turn on the dial, a very basic dial, I don't really want to see a lot of flashy information here. Everything is here, but they could have done a little bit of a design change, since you're paying $1.5 lakh more than the Trident. But inline 3 sounds so good. Yeah, so let's take it for the ride. By the way, 2 things we found uncomfortable with the switches over here. One thing is this pass switch. As I mentioned, there is no pass switch as such. We have to turn it on, turn it off. And the indicator and the horn, all of these switches actually feels a little cluttered, and there is no backlit. So in the night actually you have to search for the buttons. Turning radius is not bad at all, and it's not heavy at all. It feels like RR310, the dimensions. It doesn't feel as heavy as a 200 kg motorcycle. Alright. It screams. It is super fun to ride. You know, the engine is so nice. You get the torque available from a very low RPM, and it pulls evenly. I don't say crazy, it pulls evenly. There are certain catch to the engine and the power delivery. This is actually a retuned version of the Trident engine. I don't say detuned because it's a retuned. You have a lot of power and torque compared to the Trident. So the catch is, it is almost close to 100 bhp. I think it is around 900 bhp, and you can literally feel that. But the thing is, no way this is gonna scare you. If you are already used to a 600cc, no way this is gonna scare you in any time. The reason is because I was riding CBR 650R, and my CBR is actually a well-tuned one, and it actually goes well above 100 bhp in the crank actually. So I just hopped onto this motorcycle and I feel like, no, this is not the Daytona which I have ridden. Then I got to know that, okay, let's take the name Daytona off. This is nowhere comparable to the 675, but this engine is so practical in the sense, if you have to ride this motorcycle inside city, be it in the third gear or the fourth gear, you can actually roam around in the city. The torque band actually gives you a lot of area to play with, so you can actually ride this motorcycle inside city in a very taller gear, and even be on the highway. I mean, I'm riding in the 80 km/h, but I'll tell you, if I open the throttle, you can actually pull it from this 80 to 210 or 220, whatever you want. I have done a top speed of 220, I believe. I'm not sure about that, but I have to redline the fourth and the fifth gear to get into that thing. So that climb speed is a little less, but the thing is, on a highway you don't have to really shift a lot. Just be in the sixth gear, that's all. Be in the sixth gear, you have a lot of juice to overtake. And the riding ergonomics is good. I really like it. It's not a too sporty motorcycle to ride in. The upper body has a little bit of sportiness, and the lower body doesn't have any sportiness. The plus point is, we have a very lowered set foot pegs, and that has its own positives and negatives. We have an open road. It's at mid RPM, it gives a pull. So yes, the foot peg has its own positives and negatives. The foot peg is down, that means the lower body is very relaxed. Taller riders will feel more comfortable sitting on this motorcycle. But the flip side is, you will scrape these foot pegs very easily on a corner. This is, by the way, not at all a corner crabbing machine. This is actually a mile munger. It is like right away coming from a highly spicy meal to a South Indian thali. That's how I can imagine, because you know, the 675 was a very precise track to, and this came to a sports touring motorcycle, and it does it well because the suspension, you see that those smaller humps doesn't even came to the handlebar, man. Generally when I go through that kind of a thing in a video, my voice will have break. This time nothing happened. My foot peg realized that there was something there. My handlebar didn't even knew that there was something there, because the suspension took it completely. And couple of times there were scenarios where I actually accidentally ran through slightly bigger potholes. And to be honest, if it was on my CBR 650R, I would have double checked my friend Fox. It would have gone. But on this one, I stopped and I checked, and then I thought, okay, I wouldn't have actually ran through the pothole, maybe I would have saved it. Then got to know that the suspension is actually crazy. This one suspension is actually very, very good. It is onto a comfortable side. It can take up anything. Actually, if you are sitting with your pillion, still it gives you a very good feel. Only one thing is, when you sit with your pillion, the ground clearance goes off drastically. And the rear suspension is also really, really good. So the suspension setup is completely onto a softer side, which is unlike the previous model. So again, let me just take away the previous model comparison and let's just talk about this. So when I was riding this for that 700 kilometer ride, I felt completely relaxed. I didn't had any problem with the ergonomics. The suspension was so nice, and the brakes are amazing. For this kind of a motorcycle, the brakes are superb. 200 kg, and this brake can actually stop at any time. Only one thing is, the ABS is a little intrusive. The traction control is also a little intrusive. But you know, coming to a sports tourer, it is not a nitpicking, because when it comes to a sports motorcycle, yeah, it matters the braking distance. If you want to hard brake and the ABS comes into play, then yeah, it's trouble for you. But on this one, it is not at all a problem. And looking at the fit and finish, it's a typical Triumph. I really adore the way this motorcycle looks. Only thing which I personally miss looking like this is that I miss adjustable suspension. At least Triumph could have given an adjustable suspension in the front, so that we can actually play around a little bit. And tires are actually giving good grip. When I was getting long corners, I was able to plant really well, but the thing is, again, the suspension actually waves a little bit. But otherwise, during braking, I could really figure out that the tires are doing a really good job. And let's come to the ownership aspects of the motorcycle. So this comes for 9,75,000 ex-showroom, which is actually not a costlier affair in my opinion, because you don't have many options in this field. I see only two options in the sports touring segment now, the CBR 650R or the Daytona. Actually the Daytona was actually fighting with the Kawasaki ZX6R, and now it just stopped the fight like that and it came and started fighting with the Honda CBR 650R, because these two motorcycles are inline machines plus 2 cylinders. That means it has more feel and more fun to ride, and this is a triple. So I have a different video which has been made comparing this with the CBR 650R. You can go and watch that if you're interested. But you know, for 9.7 lakh I'll say that this is a very good buy. But mind you, this is not a very technical tool, it's a practical tool. And also, wow, still I cannot figure out what motorcycle it is. I missed. So it is actually 1.5 lakh expensive than a Trident, and I would say that this gives a lot of character than a Trident. Trident is not at all a bad motorcycle, but the thing is it is not too energetic. But this one, actually the power and the torque on this one itself, I feel that it's not too energetic. If you are a 200 to 300cc guy, you will feel that okay, it's powerful. But once you ride this motorcycle for a year, then I'll say that okay, you'll start feeling that okay, I might need to upgrade. Maybe after 2 or 3 years you will definitely say that you might need to upgrade, because there is nothing from this motorcycle which puts your heart in the mouth. So that kind of a feel is always there, because previous the Super Sport and the 600cc are like that, but this is not a Super Sport, it's a sports bike. And another catch is you spend around 50,000 rupees more, you will get a 765R. That 765R is a brutal machine compared to this one. So if you are a technical guy, go for the 765. Or if you are someone like me who wanted to buy inline motor sports touring motorcycle, definitely it's very nice motorcycle to buy. And the service intervals are like once in 16,000 kilometers, which is really good, and it costs 9,000 to 10,000 rupees, and it's not a bad thing. But the bad thing is you have to search for the feedback on your service center, the nearby service centers, because you know there are a lot of Triumph service centers nowadays, and many of them do pathetically bad services. I really tell this every Triumph videos, because I have friends who have been struggling with Triumph. The motorcycles are brilliant, but they service it bad. That's the problem. So always search for the feedback, the reviews in Google for your nearby service centers, and take a call. Like, there are good services centers, there are bad service centers, but there are more bad service centers. That's the concerning part. And mileage wise, I'll say that this you can expect something around 20 km per liter. You open the throttle, you get something like 15, and if you're riding like this, you'll get something like 22, which is really good. So few things which I really feel that missing on this motorcycle are, this misses a quick shifter by default. Oh, I have an open road again. In other words, the road is too wavy and the suspension actually they gave it directly to me, so not so confident to push it to 200 now. Yeah, so I really miss a quick shifter on this one, and that quick shifter actually costs 40k INR, which is not a value for money. When you compare the Japanese counterparts, they actually sell the quick shifters for around 15k to 25k. So in that way, I'll say that the quick shifter cost is high, and rest I don't think I need anything modified on this motorcycle to make it comfortable to me. I'll say that I have come across a beautiful motorcycle for sports touring. If you're a sports touring guy, wanted to tour on this motorcycle, wanted to take it on a city rides, yes, it is absolutely brilliant. But mind you, there are heating issues. If you are riding it inside the city, there are heating problems, but understandable. If you are someone who wanted to take a 600 plus cc motorcycle inside city, yeah, it happens. So that's the only trouble which I face, like some heating issues. So that's it, my review on the Daytona 660. And honestly, I don't want to for naming it as Daytona. Even sometimes I think that okay, I would have forgiven Triumph if they have named this thing as the CBR 660 from Triumph, because you know this has no connection with the Daytona, but that Daytona 675R was a track tool and this is a road tool. That's the thing. So accept the fact that they have given a good motorcycle for road touring. And if you're someone who actually wanted to go for the track, now you have the Street Triple 765 series, or the 1200 series is also there, which is a little more expensive. So that's all. That's my review on the Daytona 660, and I hope you like this video. And as always, show some love in the form of likes and comments. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.